Welcome to Lakers News Fan Report, your home for the most comprehensive coverage, breaking updates, and insider analysis on our Los Angeles Lakers. What I'm about to discuss with you today represents one of the most seismic shifts in Lakers history, something that seemed impossible just months ago, something that's going to fundamentally change how we view this franchise moving forward. I need you to stay with me through every word of this because the landscape of Lakers basketball is transforming right before our eyes, and understanding what's happening behind the scenes is critical for every single fan who bleeds purple and gold. The Lakers are 15-4 right now. Let me repeat that because it deserves emphasis. We're 15-4, sitting near the top of the Western Conference, playing some of the most exciting basketball we've seen in years. The energy around this team is electric, the chemistry is undeniable, and the results speak for themselves. We're winning games in dominant fashion. We're competing with the elite teams in the league, and we're doing it with a style that has fans buzzing and opponents scrambling to figure out how to stop us. This is exactly what we dreamed about when we talked about championship aspirations, about returning to glory, about reclaiming our place among the NBA's elite franchises. But here's where things get complicated, where the narrative takes a turn that nobody saw coming, where the story becomes something far more complex than just celebrating wins and looking at standings. There's a situation developing within this organization that's going to force some incredibly difficult decisions, conversations that will be uncomfortable but necessary, choices that will define the next era of Lakers basketball. And at the center of all of this is a player whose legacy is already cemented, whose impact on this franchise is undeniable, whose name carries weight that transcends basketball itself. For the first time in over 2 decades, for the first time since he entered the NBA as an 18-year-old phenom out of Akron, for the first time in a career that spanned 4 different franchises and produced 4 championships, LeBron James is not the undisputed number 1 option on his team. This isn't speculation. This isn't media narrative. This is the reality of where we are right now as an organization. And before anyone jumps to conclusions or gets defensive, let me be absolutely clear about something. This isn't about disrespecting LeBron. This isn't about diminishing what he's accomplished. This isn't about forgetting that he brought us a championship in 2020 when we needed it most. This is about acknowledging the truth of our current situation and understanding what it means for the future. The dynamics within this Lakers roster have shifted dramatically, and it happened faster than anyone anticipated. Early in this season, while LeBron was dealing with some minor injuries and sitting out games for load management, something remarkable occurred. The Lakers didn't just survive without him, they thrived. They won games convincingly, they played with pace and energy, they looked like a team that had found its identity. And during those games, 2 players emerged not just as contributors, but as the driving forces behind everything this team does on both ends of the floor. Austin Reeves has been nothing short of sensational. This is a player who came into the league as an undrafted free agent who had to fight for every minute of playing time, who was questioned and doubted at every turn. But this season, Reeves has transformed into one of the most complete guards in the entire NBA. He's averaging career highs across the board. He's making clutch plays in critical moments. He's defending at a high level, and he's showing the kind of basketball IQ and leadership that you simply cannot teach. Reeves has become the heartbeat of this team, the player who sets the tone, the guy who makes winning plays when we need them most. This isn't just a breakout season. This is a star being born right in front of us. And then there's the other piece of this puzzle, the acquisition that changed everything, the move that sent shockwaves through the entire basketball world when it happened, back in February. I'm talking about the trade that nobody saw coming, the deal that had fans, analysts, and executives across the league absolutely stunned when it was announced. The Lakers traded Anthony Davis to the Dallas Mavericks, and in return, they received a 26-year-old superstar who's already established himself as one of the 5 best players on the planet. Luka Doncic is now a Laker, and that single fact has altered the entire trajectory of this franchise. Luka Doncic in purple and gold is something that still feels surreal when you say it out loud. This is a player who's been an MVP candidate multiple times, who's led his team to the Western Conference Finals, who's put up numbers that rival the greatest offensive seasons in NBA history. At 26 years old, he's in his absolute prime. He's got at least another decade of elite basketball ahead of him, and he's the kind of generational talent that franchises build around for the next 15 years. His court vision is unmatched. His scoring ability from anywhere on the floor is absurd. His clutch gene is undeniable, and his basketball IQ is off the charts. When you watch Luka play, you're watching someone who's going to be mentioned alongside Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, and every other Lakers legend when his career is over. The fit between Luka and the Lakers has been seamless in ways that even the most optimistic projections didn't anticipate. He's taken command of this offense. He's made everyone around him better. He's shown he can coexist with other talented players, and he's embraced the pressure and expectations that come with playing in Los Angeles. The pick-and-roll action with our bigs has been devastating. His chemistry with Reeves has developed into one of the most dangerous backcourt combinations in the league, and his ability to control the pace and flow of games has given us an identity that's sustainable for years to come. This isn't just about this season. This is about the next decade of Lakers basketball being built around Luka Doncic as the franchise cornerstone. Now, here's where we have to address the elephant in the room, the conversation that's happening in every Lakers circle right now, the question that's dominating discussions among fans, media, and apparently within the organization itself. Where does LeBron James fit into all of this? And more importantly, does he fit at all moving forward? These are uncomfortable questions to ask about a player of LeBron's stature, about someone who's meant so much to this franchise, about a legend who's still capable of producing at a high level. But they're questions that have to be asked because the reality of professional sports is that sentiment doesn't win championships, and difficult decisions have to be made based on what's best for the organization's future. Stephen A. Smith, one of the most connected and respected voices in basketball media, recently addressed this exact situation on his platform. And what he said is going to make a lot of people uncomfortable, but it's also probably closer to the truth than most fans want to admit. Smith emphasized that this isn't about LeBron's ability to still play at a high level. Even at 41 years old, even dealing with sciatica issues that have bothered him throughout this season, LeBron can still average over 20 points per game. He can still make plays, still impact winning, still contribute in meaningful ways. That's not the question here. The question is about fit, about timeline, about what makes sense for an organization that's suddenly staring at a championship window that extends far beyond this season or next season. According to Smith's analysis, if the Lakers had a choice, if they could make a decision purely based on basketball logic and organizational strategy, they would explore moving LeBron. Not because he can't play anymore, not because he's become a liability, but simply because of age and the reality of where this franchise is positioned. Luka is 26 years old. He's the future, the present, and everything in between. Austin Reeves is 25 and just scratching the surface of what he can become. The Lakers have suddenly found themselves with a core that's young, dynamic, and capable of competing for championships for the next decade. And in that context, having a 41-year-old player, no matter how great he is, no matter what he's accomplished, doesn't necessarily align with the timeline and vision of where this organization is headed. Smith put it bluntly when he said that Luka is 26, and the Lakers want young players around him, not someone who's 41 and likely to retire within the next year or two. It's a harsh reality, but it's the kind of cold, calculated thinking that successful franchises have to embrace. This isn't personal. This is business. This is about maximizing your championship window, about building a sustainable contender, about making decisions that might be difficult in the moment but are correct when you look at the bigger picture. The load management situation with LeBron this season tells you everything you need to know about where things stand. He sat out the game against New Orleans on Sunday to rest his left leg. Throughout this season, there's an expectation that he'll miss multiple games to manage his body and deal with the various ailments that come with being in year 22 of an NBA career. That's not a criticism. That's just reality. Father Time is undefeated, and even someone as physically gifted and professionally dedicated as LeBron can't escape the toll that 2 decades of basketball at the highest level takes on the human body. And for a team with championship aspirations, having your max contract player unavailable for significant stretches isn't ideal, especially when you've discovered that you might actually be better without him on the floor. That last point is what makes this entire situation so complicated and so fascinating. The Lakers have been exceptional when LeBron has sat out. The offense flows differently, there's more ball movement, there's a pace and energy that's harder to maintain when you have a player who dominates the ball as much as LeBron does. Again, this isn't a criticism of LeBron's game or his approach. It's just acknowledging that the style of basketball that maximizes Luka's talents and allows Reeves to flourish might not be the same style that requires LeBron to have the ball in his hands for significant portions of possessions. There's only one basketball, and when you have multiple players capable of being primary creators, decisions have to be made about roles and hierarchy. Luka Doncic is unquestionably the face of this franchise now. That's not up for debate. That's not something that's going to change regardless of what happens with LeBron. Whether LeBron gets traded to another contender, whether he retires as a Laker, whether he finishes out this season and then decides to hang it up, none of that changes the fundamental reality that this is Luka's team and Luka's era. The organization has made that clear through their actions, through their roster construction, through the way they've built everything around maximizing Luka's prime years. So, what does all of this mean practically? What are the actual scenarios we're looking at here? There are essentially 3 paths forward, and each one comes with its own set of implications and considerations. The first option is that LeBron accepts a reduced role, embraces coming off the bench or playing limited minutes, and finishes his career as a Laker in a supporting capacity. This would be the storybook ending, the retirement tour that allows him to chase that elusive final chapter with his son Bronny potentially joining the team. It would be emotionally satisfying for fans who want to see LeBron retire in purple and gold, but it also means having a significant portion of your salary cap tied up in a player who's not part of your core moving forward. The second option is that the Lakers explore trade possibilities, looking for a contender that needs a veteran presence and is willing to take on LeBron's contract for one final championship push. This would be the business decision, the move that maximizes assets and allows the Lakers to potentially add pieces that fit better with the Luka timeline. It would also give LeBron a chance to chase one more ring in a situation where he's the clear veteran leader rather than trying to figure out how to coexist with younger stars. Teams like Golden State, Miami, or even Cleveland could theoretically make sense if they believe LeBron can be the final piece for a championship run. The third option is retirement, with LeBron deciding that this season or next season is the end of the road. He's accomplished everything there is to accomplish in basketball. He's got 4 rings, 4 MVPs, multiple Finals MVPs, all-time scoring record, and a legacy that's secure regardless of what happens from here. If he decides that the physical toll isn't worth it anymore, if he wants to go out on his own terms rather than chase diminishing returns, nobody could fault him for that decision. It would allow the Lakers to move forward with complete clarity about their direction, and it would give LeBron the chance to transition into whatever comes next in his life. Personally, I believe the most likely scenario is some version of option 2. The Lakers are too smart, too well run under this current regime to let sentiment cloud their judgment about what's best for the organization. If there's a trade out there that makes sense, that brings back value, and allows them to add pieces around Luka and Reeves, I think they'll seriously explore it. That doesn't mean it will definitely happen. There are complications with LeBron's contract and finding a team that's both willing and able to take him on. But the conversations are happening, the evaluations are being made, and the front office is doing its job by exploring every option available. What's fascinating about this entire situation is how quickly everything changed. Just a year ago, the Lakers were still LeBron's team. He was the face of the franchise, the player everything ran through, the guy who had final say on major decisions. The trade for Luka shifted all of that overnight. Suddenly, there was a younger, arguably better player who represented the future. Suddenly, the calculus changed about what made sense for the organization. And suddenly, LeBron found himself in a position he's never been in before, where he's not the most important player on his own team. From a pure basketball perspective, there's an argument that the Lakers are actually better positioned for sustained success now than they've been at any point during the LeBron era. Luka gives you everything LeBron does offensively with the added benefit of being 15 years younger. Reeves has emerged as a legitimate second star who can create for himself and others. The supporting cast has been constructed with young, athletic players who fit the modern NBA. The defense has improved dramatically with more versatility and switchability across the lineup. This team has legitimate championship upside, not just this year, but for the next 5 to 7 years if everything breaks right. For LeBron, this has to be an incredibly difficult situation to process. He's never been in this position before, never had to deal with being the third wheel, never had to accept that his time as the alpha has passed. Everything we know about LeBron's competitive nature and his ego suggests that this isn't sitting well with him. But he's also smart enough to recognize reality, experienced enough to understand how the business works, and hopefully mature enough to handle this transition with grace. How he responds to all of this will be fascinating to watch, and it will add another chapter to a legacy that's already more complex and layered than almost any player in NBA history. The Lakers fan base is going to be divided on all of this, and that's completely understandable. There are fans who will always love LeBron for bringing us that 2020 championship, who remember the bubble playoffs and the joy of seeing Banner 17 raised. How do you feel about the possibility of LeBron leaving the Lakers? Do you think the organization should trade him if the right offer comes along, or should they let him finish his career here regardless of fit? What's your vision for how this all plays out? Do you believe the Lakers can win a championship this year with the current roster construction? Let me know your thoughts, because this is the kind of topic that deserves real discussion and diverse perspectives from the entire Lakers community. If you're not already subscribed to Lakers News Fan Report, this is the perfect time to hit that subscribe button. We're going to be covering every single development in this story as it unfolds, providing analysis and insights that you won't find anywhere else. Turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Give this video a thumbs up if you found the analysis valuable, and share it with every Lakers fan you know, because these are the conversations that define fandom. I'll be back with more coverage as this situation continues to develop, and trust me, there's going to be plenty more to discuss in the coming weeks and months. Until then, stay locked in, stay passionate, and let's watch this next chapter of Lakers basketball unfold together. Go, Lakers!